Hi everyone. So we're continuing our learning of Mishnah Berachot. We're up to chapter 7. Last week we talked about a lot of the blessings after a meal, the Birkat Hamazon, and now we're talking about the Zimun, the blessing at the beginning when 3 or more people eat together, the call to pray together, to say the blessing together, and the conditions under which it can be said, and by whom. So we'll look at some of those mishnayot now. So chapter 7, Mishnah 1. Shlosha she'achlu ke'echad chayavin lezamen. Three people that ate together are obligated to say the blessing collectively, the zimun. Achal damai, umaser rishon, shenitla trumato, umaser sheni, vehekdesh shenifdu, vehashama she'achal kazait, vehakuti, mizamnin alehem. So it just gives 5 examples of certain cases where you might not have thought that a zimun is required. We have the idea of a zimun needing to be 3 people, and they have to be sitting together and sharing a meal. And also, it cannot be from forbidden foods. We don't say these blessings if there's any reason that the food that was eaten would be forbidden. So we're giving some cases here under where it's questionable whether you would have had a zimun, but yes, you do say a zimun. So let's look at each case individually. Achal damai, so damai meaning the produce, and we don't know if the person did proper tithing. So maybe produce from a person who's not learned and doesn't know about tithing. We're concerned that maybe the tithing wasn't done accurately, so there'd be a problem with eating from this. That's damai, so it's questionable. So even though it's questionable produce, this would still be okay for a zimun. Umaser rishon. Maser rishon shenitla trumato, and first tithe, whose truma has not been taken. So this is the Gemara will go on to explain. This is a complicated case of the order of the truma gadola, the truma, the offering, that the part of the produce that goes to the Kohen, and then the Maser Rishon, the first maaser that goes to the Levites, kind of the order in which it was done, and at what part of the process of producing the grain was it done. So here's a problem that doesn't preclude one from being able to say the zimun from eating this food, or of the second tithe or consecrated produce that were redeemed. So so that has to do with produce that of the second tithe, which is brought to Israel. What you can do is you can actually exchange it for money. Then that money becomes consecrated. The produce is no longer consecrated. And then bring that money to Jerusalem, buy more produce there to eat in Jerusalem, and fulfill that mitzvah of the second tithe. So here it's saying that maybe it wasn't done exactly properly. So it can't be that it wasn't done at all, right? Because then it would be very obvious that this would be a problem. So how could it be that they could still have a zimun on this? So it has to mean, the Gemara goes on to explain, that it has to do with there's a fifth that's added when you do this exchange of consecration from the produce to the money and then back to the produce. A fifth is added, and maybe they didn't do that. But still counts for a zimun. Let's keep going. The hashamasha achal kazayit, and the attendant, the waiter, who ate a olives volume. So normally people would need to be sitting at the table together, and if one person is the attendant, they ate the proper amount, but normally they wouldn't be included because they're not sitting in the meal, but because this is this person's role, their job, in this case it's allowed. And then the last one I think is very interesting, vehakuti, the Kuthite person, who so from the biblical text in Kings, we learn about they converted en masse to Judaism, and they're very meticulous in the biblical law, but not adherence to the oral law. And this is actually, I think, an interesting one, because this is a case in which the historical reality affects the halacha, and we see a difference between the Mishnah and the Gemara. So here it says that this person can be involved in the zimun, but in the Gemara, when more information is learned about this population of people who didn't really convert because they're still having pagan practices, it was ruled that they cannot be in the zimun. So because it said here, mizamin alehem, these are all cases in which, even though we thought there was a problem, it's there's not, this person are in this situation, we can have a zimun, but that last one changes in the Gemara because of the reality on the ground. Aval achal tevel umaser rishon shelo nitla trumato umaser sheni vehekdesh shelo nifdu v'hashama she'achal pachot mikazait v'hanochri ein mezamin alehen. But if one ate tevel, meaning the produce from which truma and tithes they weren't taken at all, and maser rishon shelo nitla trumato, and the first tithe whose truma had not been taken, or maser sheni v'hekdesh shelo nifdu, and maser sheni, or the consecrated produce that was not redeemed properly, v'hashama she'achal pachot mikazayit, and the attendant or waiter who ate less than olive's volume, so not the sufficient amount to join regardless, v'hanochri, and a non-Jew, ein mezamin alehen. Those people cannot be included in the zimun, or in those situations you cannot have a zimun because there's either a person who's disqualified or forbidden food involved. So that would not be fitting for a zimun. Okay, Mishnah 2. Nashim v'avadim u'ketanim ein mezamnin alehem. Okay, so it says, in the case of women, slaves, and minors, the collective blessing is not recited on their account, meaning that they are not able to join in with the Jewish men for the sake of a zimun. However, we learn the halacha is that 3 men can make a zimun, and also 3 women can make a zimun, so they can make it amongst themselves, even though they can't mix for a zimun. And the same would be in the case of biblically when there were, or in an earlier time when there were slaves, also a group of slaves could join together. And then it says, Ad kama mizamnin, how much food must be eaten in order to participate in this collective blessing in a zimun? Ad kazait, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ad kabetza. Okay, so the first opinion is what amount of food needs to be eaten in order to make a zimun. First opinion is a kazait, an olive's volume, and then Rabbi Yehuda says a beitza, a egg-sized volume. We follow the first opinion that, so what's the difference really between, what does that mean between an olive volume and an egg-sized volume? This would be understood to be the difference between what constitutes an act of eating and what constitutes an act of eating that could potentially be sufficient for satisfying someone. So an olive amount is not sufficient certainly to satisfy someone, but it is the minimum threshold of what constitutes eating, and we base the decision on what constitutes enough for saying the Birkat HaMazon and having a zimun afterwards, and that's what constitutes eating, not so much that it constitutes something that's potentially satisfactory. So the halacha goes according to the first opinion that it is a kazayit. Okay, thank you so much for joining, and we'll continue with chapter 7 of Mishnah Berachot next week. I hope everyone is well. Have a good day. Bye.